Hi there, welcome to Terrorland Soap Opera. Today I'm going to do a reading for Gemini energy. And like usual, we're going to do two rows. The top row I refer to as high vibe Gemini. The bottom row, a more worldly, shadowy Gemini energy. We all have free will and we have to make decisions in our life. And Gemini energy, besides just being human beings who might be a Gemini sun sign, Gemini has to do with our dualistic nature. We all tap into Gemini energy. This could be something that maybe people who are a Gemini sun sign or have significant Gemini placements might be something they're struggling with, because it might be something that's kind of more affecting Gemini energy, but then it kind of affects us all. It just depends. Again, because Gemini is about our dualistic nature and what our truth is, and that we have free will and we can choose to align with our more hopeful, believing, loving nature, having hope and faith and belief in ourselves and in our dreams and in love and others, or we can align with our more not nature. So, some people could be struggling. They might want to live their life differently than they are, but then that requires making those choices in our life, and might require that we live our life differently, that we think and feel and act differently, and it's hard to change our habits. It's hard to live our truth, right? So I would say just listen to your intuition about where you might be in the story, where other people might be at in the story, and shadowy Gemini has a lot to say, and more worldly Gemini energy. So the reason for the bottom row's reading is the Knight of Cups, and at the end of the reading is the Queen of Pentacles. We all emotionally are really invested in the world, is what those two cards can talk about. And there's all these things in the world that we want to manifest, or, we don't want to change. We want to stay in our comfort zone. We don't want to have to heal and grow and mature ourselves. There's a part of us that wants to keep living a life of illusion. Can't I just keep living my life the way I've done it? Can't I be in the job, in the friendship, in the relationships that I'm in? Can't I just keep thinking and feeling the way I do? Won't it all be okay? Yeah, you can if you want. Just some people don't want to, and that can be a problem. We might want to live life the way we've been living it, but other people don't. And life is about learning these lessons. We go through phases of life. We can like that phase of life, but are we growing to our full potential? Or what is it that manipulates us? Our fear, our insecurity, our pride, our ego, our self-indulgent nature. We have our dualistic nature, and then we have different people in the world that kind of have those certain traits and characteristics. We can just be afraid of facing our fears. What if I go try something new and it doesn't work out? So I'll just stay where I'm at. Well, eventually people can feel so backstabbed, or this isn't aligned with my truth. Maybe at one time it was, but it's not anymore. The Queen of Pentacles, here we have the Four of Swords and the Queen of Pentacles, and then we have someone repeating an old pattern. We can be in jobs, friendships, and relationships, and at the beginning of it, or in the midst of it, or for a long time in it, we could have been okay with a lot of things and the way things were going. But as we learn to love ourselves, and the queens, again, can talk about how we think and feel, we can heal. We can heal from being more tipped out of balance, where we indulge poor behavior in ourselves and others, where we let past pain and heartbreak or things like that kind of manipulate us, let the world manipulate us, let our ego and our fear and all those things manipulate us. And somewhere during the course of our life, we learn these different lessons in life, and somewhere along the way we got inspired to offer love to our past pain and heartbreak, our self-limiting beliefs, our fear, and we're ready to kind of move forward in life differently. And sometimes we're the one ready to move forward in life differently. Sometimes it's other people in our life. And then it gives us the free will choice to decide, well, shit, they're moving forward life differently. Am I going to keep repeating the same old pattern? Do I love and believe in myself? Why don't I love and believe in myself? Why do I get all caught up in my head? Why do I indulge poor behavior in myself and others? And then so high vibe energy is about being more independent of things that used to manipulate you, to move forward in life, to become, in the Nine of Pentacles, more independent of an old way of living life or viewing life. And knowing your worth and value, feeling like you have learned these lessons, that I don't want to keep repeating the same pattern. I want to face my fears and believe I am ready to try to master the next level of life. We went through this kind of debate within ourselves when we were 15 going to 18, 18 going to 21, 21 going to 25, and we can go through it throughout our life. Will everything we go pursue work out the way we want? No, but there might be something about the old way of living life that I don't want to repeat that pattern. I don't want to stay in my comfort zone. And sometimes when some people do heal and they are ready to move forward in life differently, sadly, some of the people in your life don't like that because you're not doing life like the way they do life. And you're not maybe going to keep being as much invested in that job or that friendship or that relationship as you used to, because you're not the same person. You could have gotten in that relationship. Up here we have the Five of Cups, which is being sad. You know, we had a dream, and then, you know, we were hoping something was going to move forward long term with stability and balance and self-insight and maturity. And we could have been moving forward with some people. And maybe, you know, people can kind of create an illusion that they're more stable and grounded and emotionally mature than they really are. And we could be moving forward kind of in hope and faith and belief and love. But we're working with someone who has more fear and insecurity about love, but they weren't telling us that. And then they could want us to keep moving forward with them, but from a more worldly viewpoint. Put an end to believing in your dreams and believing in love. You should stay in this relationship, this job, this friendship because of the stability and the security, and it seems just and fair, but it's like, but I don't feel like it's like authentically loving. It might have the illusion of love, might act like love, talk like love, quack like love, or I like that way of living life, but I feel like if I keep moving forward in that way, I'm not growing to my full potential, and I might repeat this pattern more out of my fear and my insecurity and my codependency and things like that. So we have to work through the regrets that we have and the sadness that we have, and that if we want to move forward in life differently and some other people in our life are like, nope, I'm not doing that. I might not want to be more just and fair. I might not want to be more emotionally mature. I might not really believe in love. I might be kind of more immature and kind of have some illusions about what it means to be in a relationship. I want to keep doing that. And then we're sad because we wanted a dream to come into reality with some people. And the Five of Cups is Scorpio energy, and you know, some people do want to be in more deep, meaningful relationships. They don't want to be in more superficial and shallow relationships. And everybody can get in relationships, and you could think everybody's motivated and inspired to become independent of the past, that everybody is focused on the future. Everybody's putting in work and effort to work through some of their past pain and heartbreak and fears and insecurities to move forward being independent of the past. But not everybody is. or just to be more independent in the world and quit letting the world manipulate them, their lust, their greed, their pride, their ego, past pain and heartbreak, and sometimes we got in a relationship because we were sad and it really wasn't our truth, but we could have gotten in a relationship just because we wanted to be in a relationship to feel better. And then we're moving forward with people and it's like, is this my truth? Isn't this my truth? Is this how I want to move forward? Do I want to be in a more committed relationship? Is this the right person for me to be in a more committed relationship with? Do I want to keep putting in work and effort at this job? Is it the right job? I thought it was. Is it? And high vibe people do this work within themselves to work through, to get clear about what their truth is and what their truth isn't. And if they're tempted in their more worldly, immature nature, they work through that. There could be, if we choose this, we can't choose that, right? Some people really have a hard time with that because they kind of want to keep their options open, right? And so, and some relationships didn't work out. We get new relationships. Then what if the people that we got out of a relationship with become single? And then some people could be torn about that. I always thought that, they were someone that I kind of wanted that dream to come into reality with. But when that one didn't work out, I moved forward with these people. And then people have to struggle within themselves from the 9 to the 10, that one ace of swords. There can be a lot of things I like about something and the way things are, but is it aligned with my truth? Am I willing to give up my dreams? Am I willing to live a life of illusion? People can be just and fair and stable and grounded and loving people, but does it feel like it's in truth and love that I would keep moving forward in this relationship? I can love people, but I don't know. Does one person want to be in a relationship more because it seems just and fair? We should keep moving forward with this. It makes practical, logical sense. It has stability and security. This is a good job. You should stay here. But it's not really aligned with my truth and what I could find emotionally fulfilling and what they find emotionally fulfilling. Everybody can be just and fair and stable and grounded and emotionally mature people, but, it's just not aligned with our truth and our soul. So, anyway, let's go look at the bottom row first. We have the Knight of Pentacles, the Six of Pentacles, the Two of Swords, the Emperor, the Devil, the Seven of Cups, the Moon, the Four of Wands, and the Knight of Wands, the Four of Swords, and the Queen of Pentacles. Something else could have ended, that's why we kind of go get in new beginnings. And with this being the more shadowy row, we could want to be in relationships. We want to have friendships. We want to be in relationships. It's kind of something in our worldly nature that, we enjoy community and we enjoy relationships. But have we worked through our regrets of the past to be independent of them? Or shadowy energy can be that we could be operating more out of our pride, our ego, our hurt. And did we move forward in things that maybe really weren't aligned with our truth? Because we can look to things outside of ourselves, just like we can look to get in relationships with people or drink or do drugs or eat or whatever to make us feel better, instead of wanting to deal with the truth. Why didn't something work out? Where do I need to heal and grow and mature myself? What about the people I was in relationship with? Was I not ready to be in a more formal commitment? Were they not ready to be in a more formal commitment? Are they ever going to be ready? Am I ever going to be ready? Am I willing to grow up and mature myself? What about the people I was in a relationship with? I've had people want to deal with the truth. And so they could take this time, the Ten of Pentacles and the Knight of Pentacles. I view both of them as Virgo energy, where we do the inner work to work through our fears and insecurities, or do we think, oh, I have an idea, I'm just going to go indulge myself in the world, go get in a relationship with someone else, just go get another job, if that's what it is? Or have I really dealt with the truth of it? If I don't want to repeat that old pattern, I have to see the truth of how I contributed maybe to those things not working out, because ultimately the only person I can change is me. What about the people I was working with? Am I willing to see the truth about them? Or because I'm caught up in this illusion of them, I want to stay in denial of the truth that we're really not on the same page. We aren't driven and motivated by the same things, or I don't want to see the truth that maybe they are more materialistic. Maybe they don't like to see the truth that maybe they're kind of bossy. Maybe they're kind of controlling. Maybe they're more materialistic. We all, in our worldly nature, because of these things of the world that we want to have in our life that we think are just and fair, we want to have stability, security. We want to be in relationship. All of those things are challenging to us with the devil, the Seven of Cups, and the moon. It is all things that can kind of cloud our judgment. And if some people don't want to repeat that pattern, they will do this work within themselves to want to incorporate truth and love into how they make decisions. Because if they weren't it could have been more tipped more out of balance into the world, or fear, codependency, or whatever. And it's like, I want to incorporate love and truth and justice and fairness has to be part of the decision making. Where maybe before I was kind of a little bit more caught up in the world, and that maybe didn't work out the way I wanted. And I might also have to start listening to my intuition in the Two of Swords, where before my intuition could have told me, you shouldn't do this isn't a good idea, don't get yourself involved in this, move on. But, we wanted those things of the world that we wanted. And maybe thinking we could change other people. Well, I know they're kind of bossy. I know they're kind of egotistical. I know they're kind of more motivated and inspired. Maybe not so much by love, but I'm sure with time they'll be more motivated by love. And high vibe energy is about dealing with the truth. And we can all, in a more shadowy Pisces energy, want it to stay in denial of the truth. And kind of not want to deal with the truth and kind of live in fantasy land. So we move forward in some relationships that we have that are more mismatched. And then as time goes by, from the Six of Swords to the Nine of Swords, again, during the course of that relationship, some people do some of this work within themselves to work through some of their fears and their insecurities and their self-limiting beliefs, to work through their past pain and heartbreak, because they're taking back the Three of Swords. Or it could be, I used to live more from my mind than my heart, and I was kind of more all these things of the world that I want, and I thought that seemed just and fair, and it seemed to make logical, practical sense, but I maybe wasn't listening to my more hopeful, believing, emotionally intuitive nature, and I kind of was more tipped in favor of living more from my mind than my heart, doing what seemed practical and logical. I could have been repeating some patterns of ways of viewing life and relationships, because that's how I grew up, or that's just how I viewed life. Part of it could have been influenced by my idea of what I thought was just and fair, or past pain and heartbreak, because the Three of Swords is Libra energy represented by the scales of justice. But it also can talk about that we as human beings, with our dualistic nature, we do battle within ourselves, between our mind and our heart, and which one kind of takes more precedence in our life, which one do we more align with. And I think when we're younger, because we do have all these lessons to learn, and some people in our life weren't very maybe loving or nurturing or like we wish they would have been, and maybe weren't as just and fair or stable and grounded as we wish they would have been. And they've got their issues, and they have their past pain and heartbreak, and they got their philosophy of life. And in the Five of Cups, we can be sad, and those things still influence the decisions that we make because we haven't healed from those situations in our life. And I think we can be drawn and attracted to certain people because there could be things about us that can help them heal. There could be things about them that help us heal. Even if it's just that, you do have some traits and characteristics of some people in my life that I had some inner conflict with, but because maybe you're not as smothering or bossy or controlling, there's aspects about you that could remind me of some people in my life. And it's kind of, I view it as a way that it kind of can help us work through some of those issues. It's kind of like being in a relationship with someone who kind of, again, it's kind of a similar dynamic, but not the same, or maybe to the same degree. For some people, it's worse, right? With the devil there. But for some people, we did have enough stability and security within ourselves to not maybe completely drive our life off into the ditch. And depending on what prior life experience we had, it's kind of like going into the danger zone a little bit, and we can't, when we're kind of in shadowy energy, we can't control what other shadowy energy comes through the doorway and people that we meet. But depending on how much healing we have to do, or how much learning to love ourselves we have to do, could influence to what degree we're willing to indulge other people in their poor behavior, right? And it could have been an opportunity for everybody to do some healing, but you have to be inspired to even want to look at some of those issues. And sometimes we can get in relationships with people, and the whole point of it is to make us see that some people don't have an interest in putting in the work and effort to work through their fears and their insecurities and their self-limiting beliefs, or deal with their own like immature nature or bossy nature, or all about themselves, or their lust or their greed or their pride or their ego. We can choose to happily move forward in life in denial of the truth. I thought about healing some of those issues, and then I had an idea. I'm going to keep moving forward exactly the way I've been moving forward. And that's how some people are going to do life. And other people periodically look at those things that manipulate them. They might ignore them for a while, but it kind of is like a stumbling block. I want to move forward in a more emotionally balanced, loving way. I want to be more independent. I don't like these things manipulating me. We can even be inspired by some of the people that we were in a relationship with, because they didn't seem to be as manipulated by some things that manipulated us. They could have seemed more emotionally balanced and stable and grounded. And in some ways, they could have been. But the problem in a more mismatched relationship is that if one person, instead of being in their more defensive, prideful, egotistical energy, is like, gee, I want these things to work out. I don't want to sabotage this. I am going to work through my own egoic nature, see where I need to grow and heal and mature. I'm going to do that work within myself because I want these relationships to work out. So they do that work within themselves, and they have become a more emotionally balanced, stable, grounded person within themselves. And sometimes you think the people that you're in a relationship with are going to be proud of you and happy. But that's when we can find out that they could have gotten in a relationship with some of us because we were sad. And we could have been in our more worldly view of life. And we could have wanted to be in a relationship. We could have been looking for more stability and security in our life. Also motivated by love. But the other person could have thought, you'll change over time. I'm sure you'll come along to my side and view of life. That you should maybe heal and grow and mature yourself, and then we should keep moving forward in this relationship. But my philosophy of life could be that I think it's just and fair for us to live from this more worldly, egoic view of life. This seems stable, this seems secure, and we never step out of that comfort zone to become more inspired more by truth and love. And that's when we can find out that the people that we were in a relationship with, they could have some of their own issues that we maybe weren't seeing as much, or maybe we had more things to work through. And when we kind of get more grounded and stable and balanced within ourselves, sometimes those people don't want to be in a relationship with us anymore. Well, I like playing that loving, nurturing role in your life, and I like people viewing me that way. I kind of purposely look for people that might be sad and fearful and were backstabbed and betrayed, because then in a shadowy energy, it boosts their ego where they feel like they're this, look, because I'm this loving, nurturing person, this person kind of healed and grew and matured themselves, like, oh my gosh, like the devil trying to say they're God, right? And that's where you find out kind of the more shadowy aspect to it. Loving people can be loving and nurturing also, but they do want people to become more independent and more emotionally balanced and love and believe in themselves. And that's where loving people can get in a relationship with someone who's a little more shadowy. And it seems like, oh my gosh, I met someone who's kind of on the same page as me, and this relationship's going to work out. But when you kind of do some work within yourself to heal and grow and mature yourself, is kind of someone who likes to be the parent or the teacher, and you're like the student and the child. And when it gets to the point where they would have to offer love to some of their fears and insecurities, to detach from this old way of living life, to work through their issues, to put in work and effort to become more independent of them, that's when they can say, I don't want to be in a relationship with you anymore. And that's where the ego comes in. Well, no, I view myself as a stable, abundant, whatever type person. I don't have anything to learn. Or I do have these things of the world. And because I have these things of the world that people want, I kind of think it's more about me, and people should more indulge me in a relationship. And I might not want to see the truth that I'm kind of a little full of myself, or that because I have a certain status or image or charm or social clout or good looking or got money or whatever, that I kind of live in this illusion that I can get in relationships with people, be loving and encouraging, and it's okay, I could be willing to heal or grow and mature myself in some ways too, but to step out of my comfort zone or put an end to that aligning with my more worldly view of life or self view of life, or no, I'm not going to do that. Even though they could know that they get in relationships with people who are kind of have that more hopeful, believing spirit in love, and some of them know that is not their truth. Some of them want to be in relationships with people who are more loving and nurturing and giving authentically of themselves, because it's great to be in relationships with people like that. And they could be people who live more from their mind than their heart, that they try to create this mental construct within themselves that, oh, well, if I act like this and if I do that, then I seem like I am that type of person. But you're either authentically loving and giving and inspired and motivated by love, or it's just a facade and more of an illusion you create, really living more from your mind and your ego and for how it benefits you. And some people want to be in a relationship because it makes them look like a boss. Some people want to be in a relationship because they want to indulge in a relationship. Some people get in a relationship because they are trying to manipulate someone else, trying to confuse people so people don't see the truth, that they really are more shadowy than they present themselves as being in the world. Because in a world of duality, anybody can wear a false mask. Look at me, I'm a stable, grounded, just, fair, emotionally stable, loving family person. And they're really not. They might have those things kind of in their life, but either love is either what drives and motivates you, or it's something else. Self-interest, ego, lust, greed, pride, ego, immaturity, self-indulgence, something. And sometimes then in those more mismatched relationships, for people who did view someone as a more emotionally stable, grounded, balanced, loving person, who they even could have looked up to and admired, and that's why they did some of the work within themselves, because they didn't want to sabotage the relationship, end up getting kind of backstabbed and sabotaged anyway, but they weren't the one who did it. They did the work to get more balanced and know their worth and value and love themselves. And then that can be the very reason why someone's like, no, I don't want to be in a relationship with you anymore. You've healed, you've emotionally grown and mature. And a different way of looking at it in life, if you were to ever watch on YouTube some near-death experience videos, if you just go on YouTube and type in NDE, it'll pull up all these different videos and different channels. I've watched the Jeff Mara podcast and what's a gal with like strawberry colored hair? Light covered life? Anyway, there's all sorts of them. There's another one out there I think just called NDE, and they have just like 30-minute stories. But people from pastors to nurses to convicts to drug addicts to whoever that have had these, where they were clinically dead maybe for X amount of time. And it just changed their kind of whole perspective on life. But they say that, some of them say that we kind of planned out our life before we came here, because it's all for this greater good of trying to move people forward. And some people, it's like, well, that's the role I'm going to play in the world. This is how I'm going to go about it. And it is to try to help encourage people in a way, but then, but this is my role. This is the role I signed up for. No, I'm not the one to move forward with you. I'm just the person who could have come into your life to help get you back up on your feet. And could we both feel betrayed? Could we both be mad? Yeah, but it's kind of like, as if we all have our own software program of of the things we're supposed to accomplish in our life and the purpose we're supposed to serve. That could be one idea. But for some people, we get in relationships with people who we think are more emotionally mature, and then we come to find out that they're really not. Or maybe during the course of the relationship, they were doing good, but there's no guarantee at when people will kind of start to drift off and kind of drive their life off into the ditch, and they do get kind of more spoiled or self-entitled or lustful or greedy and whatever, and they kind of drive their life off into the ditch. And we thought we were both going to put in work and effort to balance, the chariot energy is Cancer energy, where I thought we were both going to do this work to temper our shadow nature with our more hopeful, believing, loving nature. And, Sometimes we're not ready. We think we're ready and we could present ourselves as being ready, but we could be hiding that we're either more about ourselves or we're more immature than we really are. And then other people don't find out the truth till later. It's kind of like somebody applying for a job and it seems like they have a lot of the skills and the qualifications and the life experience, and we can be in a workplace situation with them for quite a while, and then it's like, uh, I'm not sure, there's some things that I really don't think this person does have. They might have the job experience, they might have been in relationships, but I think there's some things going on underneath the surface that kind of influence how this person conducts themselves, and I'm not sure if they're people we want to keep moving forward with. And I'm starting to think from the 10 down to the 9, letting go of that one Ace of Pentacles. I don't know if I want to keep investing in them anymore. And we can go through that same situation in a relationship. And we all can kind of feel stressed because we kind of thought we thought we were past the phase of thinking that we had to be worried about people being unjust, unfair, hurtful, unkind. And purposely some people can do that. I mean, that is really shadowy to think of that. But that's how kind of calculating some people can be. That some people are like, oh, I'm going to get in a relationship with this person, and it is all this shadowy energy. I have a plan. I'm going to conduct myself like I'm this stable person. I'm a person of character and integrity, that I'm this stable, grounded person, that I am someone they will get justice with. I am going to hire them. I'm going to be their friend. I'm going to date them. I'm going to marry them. But the whole time, they know the truth, that they are much more about themselves than they let people know. And they're hiding that they're more about themselves and that they're more immature and self-indulgent. And then they try to get people to move forward with them. And either if those people kind of become more independent, where they kind of, oh shit, you kind of went to a different level of life, I'm not going there. Or I think you're at that stage of this relationship where I think if I were to do something immature, I think you'd be really stressed about moving forward and becoming independent of me. I think I can backstab you. And I think you might not end the relationship. You'll just stay here sad and stuck. And that can definitely be what happens for a while when somebody acts that way, right? So then they think, no, I can go do something hurtful, unkind, because I really am just more about... It's like they've had people in their life who've done that to them, and they know it worked with them. I mean, they could have parents, they could have family members, they could have friends. Maybe not a romantic relationship, but they know they have things in their life that manipulate them, and they know those tactics work on them. So they think it'll work on you. And then it's like, I don't think you'll want to be more independent. I know I have things in people, even if it's just the world and my ego and my image that manipulates me. I think those things will manipulate you too. I think you'll stay in this job or this relationship anyway. Because I know I kind of would, to a degree, or. And it's kind of interesting. Some people who are I think people who are really afraid of other people, they're really fearful of other people manipulating their loving nature. They're really afraid of people backstabbing them. Because they have this fear, and probably based on some things that happened in their life, it's kind of like they want to replay that scenario in a way to work through it and their fears and their insecurities about it. And if they're in a relationship with someone who isn't doing that, it's almost like they have to play the villain. They never thought they would be the one playing the villain in their own story. But that's the thing about shadowy energy. We have some things we haven't healed from. And so we're kind of wanting to repeat an old pattern because we're still trying to work through it. Just like people who might say, I would never treat my people like that, or I would never abuse alcohol like that, or I would never, because of situations they've went through in their life. But they get in a relationship with someone who isn't like playing out that scenario with them because it's something that doesn't manipulate them to the degree it manipulates them, or they've already worked through that kind of some of those issues in their life and they've moved on from it. Well, because they haven't kind of worked through it, they want to keep repeating the pattern. And if the other person isn't kind of willing to play the game and repeat that pattern with them, they end up kind of being the person who does some things that they never thought they would do, which is kind of interesting. But the whole thing is, some of the people in their life decide, I don't want to be in a relationship with you anymore, you know? And everybody can be sad. The high vibe people deal with the truth. They offer love to their mental conflict. They do the inner work to work through their past pain and heartbreak. They move forward in their life, appreciating their worth and value, and they close out cycles in their life. Can it take a long time to close out a cycle in our life? We can distance ourselves from people, but in the Seven of Cups of Scorpio energy, we're emotionally complex people. We can distance ourselves from people. We can move on and live our life. But to really close out a cycle emotionally, that can take more time. But that's what some high vibe people are doing right now. And is it possible for some people that, with some people in our life, friends, family, adult children, whatever, that we were kind of on parallel tracks? We had some people in our life who were loving and nurturing and supportive and encouraging authentically. We maybe just weren't ready to be in a more committed relationship, or one person was just still not ready to move forward at the same time as us. They moved forward, we didn't move forward, you know. We can kind of get on different pages at different times. Is it possible that as some people learn some lessons and communicate their truth to some other people, that they do find that they're on the same page now and people can come back in some type of friendship and relationship? Yeah, if everybody has completed a cycle and everybody is on kind of the same page and everybody has learned to love themselves, be more independent, yeah. But if people aren't, we're not going to we stay in the energy of love. I don't want to stay in shadowy energy, so I offer truth and love to it to move on, and I move forward in my life. And eventually it kind of gets to be, if some people keep living their life maybe separate from you in a way, and it doesn't seem like you ever get back on track, you know, high vibe people, wish them peace and love. I don't have to understand why. I just know that maybe we just wanted to move forward in life differently. Because the Six of Swords is Aquarius energy about what our dreams are. Some people are more independent than other people. They can both be loving people and be just and fair in relationships, but some might want to stay single for some reason. I think if they could feel like more formal commitments are more shadowy, that it is a way for people to try to manipulate and control people. And if they're on different pages with people at different times in their life about that issue, their relationships might separate. Maybe eventually they all kind of get on the same page. Maybe some people are like, you know, I don't know why I was so defensive to it. Other people are like, you know, I see what you're talking about. Now I'm on the same page as you, you know? Let's jump ahead just to High vibe people are dealing with regrets of the past. They offered love because they have been illuminated to the truth that love is the answer. I don't want to repeat a pattern. I don't want to take action more out of immaturity, codependency, or whatever. So I'm going to choose to offer love to myself to heal, work through my mental conflict. I'm going to look at life from a higher perspective. I'm going to keep things in perspective. I'm going to become independent because here we have the 1, here we have the 10, we add the 9 to it. I'm going to become independent of some people, and I'm going to do this work to work through of maintaining balance within myself and healing, staying in an energy of just realizing everybody has free will to live their life the way they want it. Everybody will have the consequences of the decisions they make in their life. And I want to move forward in an energy of love because I think that that's my Gemini energy and my truth. And as you do that, I think it helps you become independent of the past, independent of the pain and the heartbreak and the mental conflict and the feeling backstabbed. And you just kind of see the truth that, it can take a while, but, our truth was different and our idea of the dream life and how we wanted to live our life was different. And then once you become independent of it, you've completed the cycle, and then after the 10 of Swords, you come out with the Ace of Swords. I am ready to go on a new journey of learning lessons. I learned the lesson I was meant to learn from this life experience, and this whole life experience might have been something that made me heal some unresolved issues from my past, or it forced me to have to love myself and play that role in my own life instead of kind of being in this illusion where I'm in more codependent energy, looking for someone else to play that role within my life. I am supposed to be a nurturing and loving and encouraging and supportive person within myself. So, and to myself, so that I'm not in more codependent energy. And it could have forced me to really question what my truth was, and it really forced me to put things in perspective. And do I have hope and faith and belief in myself, and that there's more to work with in the world than just these things of the world, which is that creative, inspired, intuitive, loving energy that I believe wants to create new things in the world, and more shadowy energy that wants to stop new things from being created in the world. Everybody has their own shadowy nature, which kind of wants to run your life, that would rather have your more hopeful, believing, loving nature locked in the trunk of your car and your shadow nature's in the driver's seat, because then they can go live life the way they want it. And we all battle within this, within ourselves, and like we have it within us, it just is, I think, a truth of this world. And I choose to align with more hopeful, believing, creative, loving energy that exists in the world that we would refer to as God. And I'm going to become independent of my more worldly, shadowy nature. I'm going to put work and effort to move my life forward in an emotionally balanced way, stable way, focus on my stability, my security, my career, my friendships, my relationships, and the people who aren't ready to move forward in that way, I wish them peace and love, because I've been there, and, it's hard to free yourself from the devil. Gets you by the throat. And so I wish you peace, but I can't repeat a pattern of, I can be loving and encouraging to lots of people in my life, but am I going to get in a more involved relationship with you when you're in that energy? No. Because I've already done that before, and, it's a disservice to me and them. People who are acting in shadowy energy and they have people kind of indulging them in their poor behavior have no incentive to change. And I don't want to be in that relationship, so I'm not that type of relationship, so I'm not going to more invest in it. I can be loving and encouraging and supportive people and focus my time and attention on people who are more independent of a more shadowy way of being. And eventually, they might kind of more go their way, I'll kind of go more my way. And eventually, we kind of, we're just not on the same page anymore. It's kind of like we do live in different worlds because we view life differently, right? Let's go see what's coming up for the people who harness a more high vibe Gemini energy that they might not see coming. The Three of Cups, the Six of Wands, the Six of Cups, the Ace of Pentacles, and the High Priestess. And the reason that came out is because of the Judgment card. I believe judgment will go in favor of people who offer truth and love to people, but also are independent enough to live their truth and shine their light and not get tangled up in more shadowy energy and relationships. I think judgment will go in your favor. And because you are willing to hold yourself and other people accountable for your actions, operating from a foundation of love, the Three of Cups is Cancer energy, we can operate being emotionally manipulated by our more worldly, shadowy nature and people like that in the world, or we can decide, I'm going to operate from a foundation of love, and the people I want to surround myself with are people who hold themselves accountable, who work together with me from a foundation of love. And I'm inspired to the Six of Cups is about reconciling myself with the past. And the people I do want to move forward with are people who I think in high vibe Scorpio that I can have a deep, meaningful relationship with. I don't want a relationship where people are using their emotions and their sexuality and their words or their charm or their looks or their money all to try to manipulate me. And again, high vibe people try to inspire other people in their life to get out of their more ego nature, quit letting that manipulate them, quit letting other people in the world manipulate them, to be inspired to make peace with the past so that they can have these new beginnings. And to listen, the High Priestess is Cancer and Pisces energy, two emotional water sign energies. And so now we have all three of the water sign energies. I'm more aligned with my emotionally intuitive, hopeful, believing, loving nature than living more from my mind or my defensive nature or my worldly nature. And I want to be in relationships with other people who do. And as you're moving forward, there can be different people coming towards you because what they went to go invest in didn't work out. And now you seem like a good idea, whether they knew you or not. Again, that's why some people get in a relationship. Well, that didn't work out. I know, I have an idea. I'm going to go try to get in a relationship with a more high vibrational person who's single. They're loving and nurturing. That'll make me feel better. And I think if they come towards you, you would be willing to, the pentacles can be to get to know people, and the swords can be about talking with people. But I'm not going to move forward in a relationship with people till I know what their truth is. I want to be in a relationship with people who harness high vibe Gemini energy, not people who are fearful of love and haven't worked through their own issues that are looking to me to fix them, like some people look to booze and drugs and things, I am not the answer to your problems. I can provide a loving, encouraging environment, but you have to do that work within yourself. And some of those people, if they can't get you to kind of indulge them in a relationship, well then they'll go find someone else who will. You know, it's kind of like they went to go take their chance and it didn't work. So it's like, oh shit, they've healed and grown and matured themselves. I thought maybe they were still in their pain or their heartbreak or feeling backstabbed. Or because something didn't work out, I thought, or weren't in a relationship. I just thought they'd come indulge me if I offered them these things of the world and was willing to get in a relationship with them. Don't you want to be in a relationship? It's like, I might want to be in a relationship, but I'm not going to get in a relationship with just any old person. And they're like, well, I don't understand. If somebody offered to get in a relationship with me, I'd probably get in a relationship with them. Well, you're you and I'm me. And you might do it because you maybe don't have a problem indulging yourself in a relationship for your own selfish reasons. I have a little bit more of a conscience and I don't want to get involved in a relationship for my own selfish reasons. Then I'm going to experience karma and I don't want it. So I'm going to work with the people in my life. And if I'm in a relationship, there might be other people who are sad. Sometimes you got to let other people be the loving, supportive people in their life because you're not in that position to play that role in their life. Maybe at one time you did, but you're not that person in their life anymore. And you have to let other people do it. What's coming up for some people who harness a more worldly, shadowy Gemini energy? They want to be in relationships, but they still have illusions about what it means to be in a relationship. They do not want to maybe listen to their intuition. They might like to stay in denial that they're kind of a little bit more about themselves. And they think other people should want to be in a relationship with them and make their life more about them. And some people are just egotistical and they think, oh my gosh, if I were to go make an offer to anyone, anybody would want to be in a relationship with me because their intuition is clouded by their egotism. And some of those people will try to get in a relationship with someone and I don't know, they could be angry if that person doesn't want to go get in a relationship or a marriage with them. It's like, how dare you? How dare you not want to jump my bones immediately? And then they'll play games and try to get people to chase them. And some of the high vibe people in their life is like, no, you go, if you're not ready to move forward in a more stable, grounded way, then you're not the person for me anyway. And sayonara. What's coming up? The Queen of Wands in reverse and the Six of Pentacles in reverse. Why? Because of the Nine of Pentacles. So, in high vibe, the Queen of Pentacles, if we had these in the upright, it would be people, if they were in high vibe, it would be people who listen to their intuition and are inspired by love and love that other people feel more stable and grounded and independent within themselves and know how to love themselves and want to do equal give and take in a relationship with them. And they could have had some people in their life that were doing that, and what they don't see coming because they kind of harness these energies in a distorted way. Again, people who might try to present themselves as being that type of person, but they're really not motivated and inspired by love. That isn't why they do what they do or hope in faith and belief in love. It's more, when cards are in reverse, it can mean shadowy energy and extreme shadowy energy. Sadly, some people really lack confidence within themselves and aren't very stable and balanced within themselves at all. And of course, then they could think other people are like that and they're single, other people are single. I'll go try to get in a relationship with that person and I'm sure, like me, they would hop at the chance to maybe get in a relationship, right? For others, they're very egotistical, very transactional in their relationships. And they think what they have to offer is much more valuable than what anybody else brings to the table. They also could be people who just want to indulge themselves in relationships. I want to be single. I do not want to get married, but I will create the illusion that's what I want to do so people will get in a relationship with me. I'm indulging myself in this relationship. They think eventually this is going to lead to a more emotionally mature, formal commitment. No, I have no plans of that, but as long as they're stressed out about seeing the truth of it and they want to indulge in the illusion, it works for them. They're in a relationship, makes them maybe feel more balanced, makes them look like a shining star, like they've moved on, and it could help them move on, you know? But eventually, some of the high vibe people that had been in their life are going to quit exchanging time, energy, and effort with them because they see the truth that some of these people just want to indulge themselves in a relationship. The dream is never going to come into reality. It's just an illusion they created. And the other people work through the fact that, some dream they thought was going to come into reality isn't going to come into reality. And they do this work within themselves, male or female, to move on from these people, quit believing the lie. Just like we have to become independent of our more shadowy energy of self that tells us, no, if it was just more about us, we'd be happy and we should go indulge in these things of the world. And if we keep staying independent or single and we don't have to compromise with anyone, that'll be living the dream. Our own shadow nature tries to tempt us in that way. And some people do give in to their more shadowy nature. And then again, we can have people in our life that are saying, hey, I'll hang out with you. I'll be your friend. I'll date you. I'll marry you. Let's do it like this. You give up being your more authentic self. You give up being more balanced within yourself. You give up your independence to indulge me and the world and our ego and our fear. Don't grow to your full potential. Don't live your authentic life. And some people did that and they're like, I'm not doing that anymore. I am going to stand in my truth. I'm no longer caught up in the illusion of this. I'm done. And they are going to move forward victoriously, having a new beginning. And I think judgment will go in their favor. And the shadowy people will have more high vibe people leave their life. And the people who are willing to stay in a relationship with them might be people who aren't very authentic or inspired by love either. They just create the illusion. But I'll be in a relationship with you. This looks good. This is good for my ego and my image. It looks like we have all these things of the world like other people have. We've created an illusion that this is love. And even though it's not, I'm willing to stay in it probably because they'd rather live a life of illusion than love and believe in themselves to go live their authentic life, whatever that may come, and they're not willing to do it. So there you go, Gemini. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.